Before anything,
Happy Thanksgiving, Happy New Year, and everything in between!
hey everyone, how's it going? My name is Zankichi, and today I want to take you down memory lane with a game about memories called Remember Me, a video game that was released in 2013, the same year that a new generation of consoles was about to be launched. If the title isn't a good example of irony, I don't know what is. Now, I remember this game not getting much attention, so it quickly fell into obscurity, even though it was published by Capcom, a company that we associate titles with Resident Evil, Devil May Cry, and Goof Troop for the SNES. That is actually not a joke, it's totally legit, look it up. Now, Remember Me is a game that didn't get much attention, so it quickly fell into obscurity, even though it was developed by Don't Nod, who go on to make noteworthy titles like the Life is Strange games and Vampire. Okay. The game caught my eye for two reasons. The main reason was the plot, which has to do with messing with digitized memories, and the second one being the main character, which I still find very attractive.
Don't judge me.
Regardless of what other people said, I decided to give this game a shot, especially since it was given to me for free, and well, you know what they say, don't look a gifted horse in the mouth. Turns out though that the game wasn't what I was expecting, especially since turns out that the game was pretty good. Now honestly, I don't know what people are what's going on? Okay. Despite the title, the game quickly faded away from my mind until 8 years later, or more like 7.5 years later, when I found this game sitting on my Steam library. I decided to give this game a shot again because, you know, I'm older and my view of video games have changed, so maybe the game... I decided to revisit this gem and relive all the good times I had with it. Okay, what's going on, man? I don't know. My memories are a mess. I'm scared. You know what? Let's take a look at Remember Me, shall we? The game starts with an ad about Sensen, a neural device that digitizes memories and stores them for the purpose of reliving them, sharing them with others, and removing bad memories if one so desires. Then it shifts to Nilin, the main character of the story, who is going through a memory wipe, leaving her with no knowledge of her life except her name. Nilin is then told to follow the path to the next step of her memory wipe, but in her stupor, she hears the voice of Edge, who urges her to escape from La Bastille prison. She follows his instructions until she eventually reaches an area where bodies are being dumped into maker knows where. Nilin gets in one of the caskets on Edge's persistent request, and sets off into the slums of Neo-Paris, escaping the prison that kept her. During her ride, Edge tells Nilin about Memorize, the corporation responsible for monopolizing memory storage and distribution, the Errorists, revolutionaries that fight against Memorize's agenda, and Nilin herself, an Errorist agent and memory hunter who can not only steal memories, but also remix them. After the turbulent ride, she arrives at Slum 404, where she is to meet Hedek Tommy, another Errorist agent and Nilin's old friend. On her way there, she finds herself discovered by Leapers, creatures that were once human who bear a terrible addiction to memories. After being rejected by the Leapers and beating them up, Nilin makes her way up Slum 404 and arrives at the Leaking Brain, Tommy's bar and grill? I guess you can call it that. Tommy greets Nilin with open arms, though she lost her memory of him, and provides her with her combat skin and glove that he kept safe when she got caught. She gets changed and ready to leave until she gets ambushed by Olga Sedova, a bounty hunter charged with hunting down Nilin the moment she escaped from prison, but she acts fast and begins remixing Olga's memories. The act of remixing memories is a prominent feature in this game, and it consists of Nilin taking the memory of a person and changes it into whatever she wants. Whatever she wants. In this case, she remixes Olga to make Memorize responsible for the death of her husband. This in turn makes Olga an ally for the Errorist and helps Nilin get to her next destination, the Saint Michel district. In San Michel, Nilin's objective is to find Kaori Sheridan, an architect in Neo-Paris, and steal the access codes to the San Michel Dam with the help of Bad Request, another Arist agent and Nilin's biggest fan. On her way to find Bad Request, she finds trouble in the form of
Saber Force, private police financed by Memorize. Crowd control with a smile.
Yeah, that. Thanks, Edge. Nilin finally finds Bad Request and siphons his memories for the route to Kaori's condo, and after much platforming and Saber Force beatdowns, she finally makes it to Kaori and steals her memories. On her way to the roof to transfer the info to Edge, she gets ambushed by Kid Christmas, an ex-memory hunter who turned into a bounty hunter for fame and money. After humiliating Kid Christmas, Nilin finally transfers the codes to Edge to flood San Michel and lower the water level in Slum 404, making La Bastille accessible through the dried up dam. Her next mission is to infiltrate La Bastille to regain her memories, but first she must find Johnny Greenteeth, leader of the Leapers, and steal his memories to locate the hidden passage to the prison. Alright, so Nilin learns the location to the entrance and... Is it me, or is this thing giving me Nemesis vibes all over? Once inside the prison, Nilin sneaks her way around to find and confront Madame, Warden of La Bastille, and the key to releasing Nilin's memories. Despite Madame's attempts to trap her in a digital memory world and make her submit, Nilin outdid her in her own game. Nilin releases her memories along with the memories of the other inmates, and although she didn't get all her memories, she still remembers her crime, a memory remix that pushed the Saber Force commander to suicide. Following this, Nilin must now continue on with Edge's request to remix the CEO of Memorize, Scylla Cartier-Wells, to put a stop to the Reconversion Project, a project which aims to control the Leapers through their senses and turning them into slaves, all the while having conflicting thoughts about his goals and her own actions as a person. She arrives at the San Michel district, now flooded and overrun with Leapers, and as she makes her way to the Memorize building, she is found by Saber Force's Captain Trace, an eccentric individual hell-bent on killing Nilin. A thrilling helicopter chase ensues through the district until finally Nilin outmaneuvered him and stole his memories to gain access to the Memorize building.
This little Red Riding Hood's got a basket full of kick-ass!
Nilin makes it to the Memorize building where she remixes Scylla and finds out that she is her mother, and her bitter attitude was due to an accident that she and Nilin suffered 20 years prior, blaming Nilin for it. Of course, the remix changed her perspective on this by shifting the blame on herself instead. You see? Lesson learned, don't text and drive, even that's relevant in the year 2084. Nilin escapes the building and now Edge wants her to rescue Bad Request, who was caught and taken to La Bastille. As she goes deep below La Bastille, she finds a secret lab where Dr. Sebastian Quaid experiments on inmates, turning them into Leapers and controlling them as part of the Reconversion Project. Nilin then hunts down Dr. Quaid to make him pay for his atrocities and finds him in the center of it all, guarded by the enslaved Leapers. As he sicks his controlled Leapers at Nilin, Johnny Greenteeth reappears and kills Dr. Quaid. It is then revealed that Johnny was Dr. Quaid's first experiment and his colleague, and that he plans to blow up the place. At the last minute, Bad Request saves Nilin from Johnny's onslaught, she defeats him and barely escapes La Bastille before exploding. With renewed resolve, Nilin makes her way to Nemopolis, the heart of Sensen and home of the Conception Cube, where the Memorize server H30 is located to shut it down and destroy it for good. However, the place is already crawling with Leapers, Mutant Leapers, Saber Force soldiers, and the Zorn. No one said it was going to be easy. After going through chaos, some light platforming, and puzzles, Nilin makes it to the cube, and inside it is Charles Cartier-Wells, creator of Sensen, Memorize, and Nilin's father. She now has to remix him in order to access H30 and shut it down completely, all the while bearing witness to the first remix and making it so he killed Nilin instead. Once the remix and the heartwarming family reunion is done, Charles returns Nilin's memories to her to find her way inside the server room. As Nilin navigates the server room to find the center, Edge begins to say things that reveal his true nature until he reveals that he is H3O. Specifically, he is an AI entity spontaneously born from the bad memories that people have discarded, and he also claims to be responsible for the existence of the Leapers. He asks Nilin to destroy him and H3O so that there would be no more suffering, and without a choice, she complies. She fights H3O Edge in the digital memory world until she finally lands the killing blow on its oversized Sensen. She wakes up after the intense battle, admires the scenery while giving a eulogy to her friend, and leaves the digital world to her family. The end. Alright, so the story ended on a good note, and overall for what it provides, it's a decent story, even though I made the ending sound underwhelming. It's not amazing or mind-blowing, but it does tell an intriguing story worth paying attention to, especially since it did a good job at telling it in a cohesive manner. When stories are told in the proper order, they tend to be successful in developing the plot, making it easy to follow and understand. Remember Me's story delivered its plot properly, sure, that's good, but it played it safe. The settings and themes of the game had so much potential to it, but it was wasted on one possibility rather than incorporating more. Okay, so to explain to myself, let's just look at it at this perspective. The year is 2084. Civilization has advanced technologically to the point of being able to digitize and store memories. There's a mega corporation that monopolizes memory storage, a group who fights against said corporation, and of course the humans who became so addicted to memories that they become something less than human. And that's it. There is no in-between factions who oppose the very idea of storing memories, no rogues who steal and sell information to the highest bidder, or criminals who use this technology for nefarious acts like robberies and assassination. I can understand that these things might distract us from the plot, but at least they would have made this world, the story, and the characters more interesting. Which brings me to my next point, character development. Listen, I like Nilin. I like how she developed as a character. I like her humanity, and personally, I find her very attractive. But a better understanding of her as a memory hunter and errorist would have been so much better. Throughout the game, it is hinted at that she simply became an errorist. It doesn't explain how she got the remixing glove or her exploits as an errorist agent. I would have liked her more if there was more insight to all this rather than it saying that it happened. Also, Edge was well developed as a character until the final part. At first, I thought he was just a brilliant man who planned out every move without showing his hand, but it turns out that he was also an AI created from the very thing he wants to destroy. This is poetic justice and irony wrapped up in one character. That was cool, but he is so easy as a final boss, pathetic even. His boss fight was underwhelming and easy. He was even telling Nilin what to do to beat him. That's wrong. I understand that this is part of his character development, but at least the last fight would have been the best one, make it the best one. And of course, the supporting characters didn't overstay the welcome and did their job, although I would have liked to see Olga do a little bit more. Maybe a dogfight against Captain Trace since she has her own ship, or an infiltration mission to save Nilin from La Bastille. Those would have been cool. In essence, the story was properly told, but the world and the characters needed more development, and I most certainly would have loved to know more about Nilin herself. Now about the game's mechanics, just like the story, they play it safe with the gameplay, but that's not inherently bad in this situation. You see, Remember Me is a beat-em-up action game at its core, so repetitiveness is part of its essence. So what makes this one stand out from the rest? Presence. No, not presence like someone or something is present. No, not presence either. Presence, there you go. Nilin has the ability to use presence, combat moves that are uploaded in her Sensen that she can use to dish out the pain and defend herself. These are then placed in different combo strings to create unique combos that can be used for any situation. These presents come in 4 varieties: power type to deal more damage, healing type to recover health, chain type, which copies the presence before it and makes it stronger, and cooldown types, which shortens the time to use S presence. Nilin only begins with a few of these presents, but she can unlock more by earning procedural mastering points, or PMP, which she earns by defeating enemies. She can also use S presents. These are special moves that allow Nilin to do some crazy stuff to her enemies, and there are 5 of them. Sense and Fury makes Nilin stronger and faster. Sense and DOS incapacitates enemies in a wide radius. Rust and Pieces turn robot enemies against their allies and into ticking time bombs. Sense and Camo turns Nilin invisible, which she can then do a one-hit knockout on any opponent. And the Logic Bomb explodes in a wide area after Nilin sticks it to one of her enemies. And of course, she can also use the Spammer, which lets her shoot projectiles at enemies and obstacles, as well as other upgrades to her glove. With this arsenal of moves, Nilin is well equipped to take on Leapers and Saber Force soldiers, and it's thanks to these mechanics that make Remember Me stand out from other popular beat-em-ups. However, I have one complaint. The action sequences are boring. This may be a nitpick, but hear me out. Normally in beat-em-ups, it's satisfying to beat the crap out of the bad guys with the skills that characters have, but in this game, I felt no rush of excitement from doing that. Despite having decent combat mechanics, the execution of these felt mechanical and slow. Combos had to be pulled off with timed button presses instead of button mashing, so if the incorrect button was pressed, then back to the start of the combo, which in turn breaks off the excitement that beat-em-ups bring. Now multiply this by 10 and you'll get monotonous, droning action sequences that you'll be begging for them to be done with. Another unique mechanic that sets this game apart was the remixing sequences, where Nilin takes a memory from someone and alters it to whatever she wants. This mechanic was story related, so it didn't overstay its welcome, but boy was it tons of fun to shift bits and pieces of the memory to get whole different endings, and even trigger memory bugs, which makes people remember their death and in turn die for real. Since these parts were like puzzles, it provided a short break from the usual beatdowns and platforming. Last thing I want to talk about is the graphics and sound. I normally ogle at the marvels of graphical designs, but this time is different. I just want to clarify that the game looks decent overall, but the choices done in the character designs and environments leaves much to be desired. To start, almost everyone in this game looked like a hard case of mediocrity. Headache Tommy is a reflection of the dank slums. H3O Edge is so bland and uninspiring, which is ironic to his character, and all other boss characters are just forgettable. Kid Christmas is the pinnacle of skipping leg day, Johnny Greenteeth is an overgrown leaper, Madame is the typical sadist, Captain Trace is another Saber Force grunt, and the Zorn, which is not really a boss since Nilin fights another one later on. The only character models worthy of praise are Nilin and Olga. The designs of these two are the only ones that are memorable, for lack of a better word. Nilin's design reflect her role as a memory hunter, where mobility and infiltration are key, but also having armor in certain parts of her outfit to augment her physical prowess. And Olga's design does the same for her role, where she also has mobility but with added flair to let people know that she's a bounty hunter. And it's a shame because her design is cool, but we only see her once in the game. You know what else we see once in the game? Neo Paris. In the distance. A huge, beautiful city that expands as far as the eye can see, and all we witnessed of it was a panoramic view? Seriously, instead we got to see the dirty slums 2 times, we visited prison for 3 times, and passed by a posh district 2 times, and one of the times was flooded. The level designs were repetitive and uninspiring, a total contrary to what the city of Paris is supposed to represent. They look fine graphic-wise, but that's no excuse to repeat the areas for each chapter. I mean, most beat-em-ups have a variety of level designs to break away from the monotony and repetitiveness that these games bring, but this game had a setting based on a real-world European city and it made it boring. Some of the locations looked cool. Saint Michel District is what I expect if I ever went to Paris, and Nemopolis represented the height of this game's technological lifestyle. Other places like the slums and the sewers were as you'd expect, and the prison was boring as hell. Truly, the character and level design needed more work, but on a positive note, the music was banging. It had orchestrated music, some techno thrown in between, and it even has one of my favorite classical songs. So, Remember Me is a not egg. I mean, it's okay in the overall experience, but it felt lacking in some parts that make beat 'em ups enjoyable. Remember Me is a fun and enjoyable game despite its shortcomings in the level. It's happening again. This game needed to use its ideas to its fullest potential, which it failed in some aspects. For 8 hours of gameplay, this game showed everything it had to offer. Okay, that's enough! Screw this, I'm wrapping this up real quick. In my honest opinion, I say borrow this game. So with all said and done, in my honest opinion, I say this game is... who's messing with my head? In my honest opinion, I say this game should be destroyed. What happened? Was I playing a game? What's this? I'm sorry, Nalin? Who's Nalin?